alive and well. Fenway Park, where they've been playing baseball since 1912. And Pedro Martinez will face this lineup for the Yankees. It's brought to you by State Farm. Leading it off will be Enrique Wilson, who is the one guy who has hit Pedro Martinez well in his career. In fact, 7 out of 8 this season. Then Derek Jeter, Giambi, the DH, Williams, Posada, Nick Johnson, with Matsui, Karim Garcia, and Alfonso Soriano, typically the leadoff hitter, batting in the number 9 spot. And on the mound is Pedro Martinez, a 3-time Cy Young Award winner.
And he's 50 and 15 in this ballpark. Joe Torre says you don't go out to beat Martinez, you go out to match him and hope something happens favorably in the latter innings. The best way to approach him is to try to swing early in the count. The numbers overwhelmingly in favor of guys who do that. And speaking of numbers, Enrique Wilson does that.
What else would it be? A blistering fastball over the inside corner. Pedro Martinez gets to face his nemesis here at the start. Enrique Wilson, you get the feeling as long as Pedro's with the Red Sox, Wilson will have a job with the Yankees. The 1-1. Into center field. Fighting that sun is Damon. Back in the lineup. Wilson is gone. Take a look at the defense, and they are thrilled to have Johnny Damon, their anchor, back in that outfield. They don't cover a ton of ground with Trot Nixon in right and Manny Ramirez in left. You see the numbers, the Red Sox record with Damon and without. He committed only 1 error all year. Typical infield defense. Here's Jeter. Strike 1. Off speed, base hit. Jeter, who's bothered by a sprain in a joint in his left thumb, was out for 36 games with a dislocated left shoulder, able to reach Martinez for this line drive hit.
You can see Bill Miller playing Jeter in, but this is a real hanger right here. It's outside, but a ball up in the strike zone. Just watching Martinez in his postseason starts, that's one of his problems. About the only problem he's had is that curveball. When he drops that elbow, the curve stays up.
Giambi takes strike 1. So far 2 out of 6 in this LCS, with Bernie Williams on deck. Blocked by Veritek. So not only, Brett, are these hitters dealing with that shadow situation in the sunlight in center, but so is a catcher like Veritek, who smothered that last pitch from Pedro.
Well, I think it's a lot easier to catch it than to hit it. I think if you ask Jason that, he'll agree with you. You know, this is a tough time. It's when the pitcher and the catcher or the hitter are both in the shadow. That's the toughest time.
Right side into the shift. Walker gets the lead man, and that's it. Runner at first, Giambi, 2 out.
It's just that bright background. That's what gives you the tough time. It's like going into a tunnel. That initial shock reaction, you just can't see. You can't pick up the spin. And the best chance, I think, when the shadows are like this, is to hit a fastball, because it's tough to see the off-speed pitch.
You can see Nomar Garciaparra, because of the shift, he actually had to go to his right to touch second base and not to his left like he normally does.
Timmy, we play the same shift on Jason. We play it on Palmeiro. I don't like it in a double play. It's too hard. You got too many guys doing different jobs that they're not used to doing, and it is a real tough play, especially to turn a double play.
Bernie Williams now takes a strike. Bernie so far 8 out of 21 in the postseason. 4 RBIs, has yet to go deep. This big crowd at Fenway anxious, wondering what the fate is for this 2003 Red Sox team, and there's no doubt that the fate of this series may rest on the right shoulder of Pedro Martinez in this start. The Red Sox don't win this game. Hate to say anything's a must-win in a 7-game series, game 3. But then the Yankees are at least guaranteed, if they win today, of getting this series at worst back to New York. As Martinez misses high, 2-1.
Just like the Chicago Cubs, by winning last night, are assured of getting back to Chicago. With Mark Pryor and perhaps Kerry Wood going in game 7 if it goes that far.
The play behind Giambi, 2 balls and a strike on Williams. Walker, scoreless first for Pedro Martinez. And now their old friend, Roger Clemens, will burst onto the scene in the bottom of the first. Never won more games here at Fenway Park than Roger Clemens. 101 in his career. And he toes the slab today for the New York Yankees. Here is the lineup for the Red Sox, brought to you by State Farm. Damon back at the top with Walker, Garciaparra, Manny Ramirez. David Ortiz hits 5th. Kevin Millar, Trot Nixon, who has handled Clemens in his career. Bill Miller, the batting champ, is hitting 8th. And Jason Varitek, a big threat with 25 home runs during the regular season, is hitting 9th.
Joe Torre telling us in our managers meeting today that Roger Clemens is throwing perhaps as relaxed as he has at any time being with the Yankees, and Joe thinks perhaps it is because he's gotten past the 300 win. He did that against the Cardinals in early June.
It appears that somebody holding a parabolic microphone is going to have to move out of the center field section. It's hard enough, say these hitters, to figure out where these pitches are coming from Clemens without having to deal with somebody sitting out in center field. And I would say there's a 98% chance it's one of our guys.
So move your parabola.
Where'd you come up with that percentage?
It's good. It's safe. Don't worry.
Whatever, Joe.
You haven't been around long enough. Here's the first pitch on the outside corner for a strike. Johnny Damon. They certainly missed a huge element to this offense when Damon was unavailable in games 1 and 2 in New York. 2 fastballs, 1 in for a strike and 1 missing. Damon, Walker, and Garciaparra against Roger Clemens, who was saluted with a standing ovation during his last regular season start here. He left a winner for the Yankees the final day of August, and the fans called him back out. He tipped his cap to him. A classy move by these fans, but it's a different story here today. 2-1. Off Enrique Wilson. He's in the lineup for his bat. He has trouble with his first chance on defense.
Being a fast runner draws that third baseman in if you're a left-handed hitter. And because of that, he doesn't get a good hop. It's an in-between hop and an error on Enrique Wilson.
They've given that a base hit.
I spoke too soon then.
I don't know that you'll get any argument out of us.
I'm not arguing.
It's a base hit. And Walker steps in, and this crowd already chanting Clemens' first name. Talked to Grady Little before the game about the running game against Clemens. Typically you can run against Clemens, but he said the only guy that would run would typically be Damon, and he may be a step slower after what he's been through over the past week. Like he was caught between steps over at first and got back ahead of the tag.
Yeah, it did. That right foot was in the air. It had to come down, and then he dived back. Watch the right foot. Whoops.
That's strike 1 on Walker. Todd Walker is a .393 lifetime hitter against Roger Clemens. There are two in this Boston lineup that have handled Clemens and handled him well. The other one is Trot Nixon, .371 average with 3 home runs against Clemens. .41-year-old right-hander, 310 career victories, most of those with the Boston Red Sox, and up over 4,000 strikeouts in his career. And he is really bothered by the presence of Damon, the only speed threat in this Red Sox team. Damon stole 30 during the regular season.
Well, Roger wasn't at the managers meeting then, or we were, when Grady Little said that nobody would run on the Red Sox.
Again, almost caught, but able to get back.
Grady's saying that the Red Sox wouldn't be dormant today, but if they did run, it would be part of a hit and run. Rarely would a Red Sox take off to steal a base.
Left field, well hit. Matsui back off the monster. Damon ends up at third. It's a double for Walker here in the first.
Damon went as far as second base, and with nobody out, trotted to third. As you could hear the Fox sounds of the game, you could hear it rattling off the monster.
If you ask Grady Little why this Boston Red Sox team is so dangerous offensively in this park, it's because of shots like that going to left. Here's Garciaparra.
I think too, from what I've seen coming in, when you're not experienced with this outfield, it's a different outfield than any other outfield in the game, with all the different angles. And I think in Seattle we got one of the best in the game in Mike Cameron. And this is the one park where he's a little tentative when he gets out in left center. He says he's just not used to it. He's not comfortable with the angles of the wall. And I'm not used to seeing Mike be uncomfortable out there. Like I said, he's probably as good as there is in the game, and I think that's another advantage for the Red Sox in their home ballpark.
Garciaparra really struggling, and you can see feeling for it at the plate. He didn't hit much of anything in September. He has not driven in a run this postseason.
A 170 batting average in September, atypical of Garciaparra.
Clemens needs a strikeout. Foul. Grady Little won with Wakefield, lost with Lowe. Joe Torre lost with Messina and won with Pettit. The series tied a game apiece.
Joe Torre telling Enrique Wilson at third base, if the ball's hit sharply, go home.
Still 2-2. That would be an indication to the respect they have for the pitching of Pedro Martinez. Got him on the inside corner, one away.
Garciaparra rarely argues with the umpire. He thought this ball was inside. That ball's a strike. That not only had the corner, that had a better piece of the plate. It looked from my vantage point.
I'm telling you, it's tough to see.
Yeah.
It is tough to see. And sometimes, you know, I know as a hitter, sometimes I don't see, I argue and I disagree and I look at it on the replay and it's a lot closer than I thought. And it's not easy for the umpire either.
Alfonso Marquez in the Mexican Baseball Hall of Fame, the umpire behind the plate this afternoon. Here's Manny Ramirez. Ramirez so far hot in this ALCS, 5 out of 9 with a home run in game 1. Line drive into left center field. The Red Sox lead 2-0.
One ball, no strikes. Posada setting up inside. The pitch was on the outside part of the plate. Looked like a splitter. And Ramirez puts the Red Sox on top. Didn't hit it well. A little bit off the end of the bat. He is a run-producing machine, Manny Ramirez.
David Ortiz takes a strike. With all the hype that surrounded this game, you think back to 1999, that game 3. Same matchup, Clemens, Pedro Martinez, and a 13-1 win for Boston. Clemens did not retire a man in the 3rd inning. He was gone before then. He has said it again. He has been doubted by many, and he has said it again, that this is it. He will walk away at the end of this season. A 17-game winner in 2003. That's a strike. That's 1 and 2. Opposite way, slicing foul.
Damian Jackson colliding with Johnny Damon in game 5 in Oakland. Johnny Damon scoring. And there is Damian Jackson right there. Of course, it is a hug fest among the Red Sox players. Huggability.
And such a big difference from years gone by with this Boston team. 1-2 pitch. Ortiz is jammed and he pops it up. Back and out of play, still 1 and 2.
Ortiz is a low ball hitter, and most low ball hitters can be jammed. The reason for that, low ball hitters do not have as fast a bats as high ball hitters. That's why you can get in tight, and that's where American League pitchers try to pitch Ortiz.
Roger Clemens came up with the Red Sox in '84, had an unbelievable year in 1986, was 24-4, won the Cy Young Award, was the MVP, had his first 20 strikeout game, won the All-Star game, won the 7th game of the ALCS against California, and was on the mound in game 6 of the World Series, left in the 7th with a 3-2 lead. That's the last time the Red Sox won the pennant as Ortiz checks his swing and the count's 2-2.
John McNamara pinch hit Mike Greenwell for Roger Clemens. And Clemens contends to this day that he did not want to leave the game, that he could have stayed in the game and wanted to pitch.
The Hall of Fame career numbers for Clemens is 2-2. Full count.
Look for Ramirez to run.
Strike 3, throw down, inning over. But not before the Red Sox come up with 2, driven in by Manny Ramirez. They support Pedro Martinez. 2 runs on 3 hits, and a good start for Boston in this game 3. Jorge Posada first up for New York as they trail 2-0 here in the second. Posada, then Johnson, then Matsui.
That was a wonderful play by Posada, because on a 3-2 count, the catcher has to stay back to make sure he catches it properly to get the strike. Also on the other end, Derek Jeter on the short hop to get Ramirez.
Posada hits one in the air to left center field, well hit. Back at the wall. This is off the Green Monster. Can't tell me he's having any trouble seeing the ball as Damon caught it off the wall. It's a double anyway, but if you're looking for any lingering effects from the concussion, rest assured Damon's okay.
Caught it on the fly off the wall. Johnny did not wait for it to bounce once. You don't see that too often. Coming off the wall and in the air making the play.
Play highlight.
Yeah. Using a cesta.
But it's a leadoff double. A good start to the second for the Yankees, and Nick Johnson digs in. Johnson homered in game 2 to put the Yankees on top for good. Came in the second inning off Derek Lowe. One ball, one strike. In August, Johnny Damon made this catch. So you know you're talking about somebody who knows how to play those angles that Brett Boone talked about, and certainly isn't afraid to go up on that wall. And he is in charge of a lot of territory in center, left center, and right center. The 1-1. A little high, 2 balls and a strike.
See, that's another danger sign. That high curveball. He's thrown 3 curveballs so far. All have been high. One on which Jeter had to single to left field. That's a dangerous pitch so far.
That's foul. And 2-2. Pedro Martinez is 4-0 in his lifetime in postseason. A 2.13 ERA, and opponents are hitting only .178 against him in October. Posed by Roger Clemens, who is 7-6 in his career in the postseason, and I give you those stats for a reason. Question coming up, but right now a 2-2 pitch to Nick Johnson. Full count with Matsui next. A squirter, and Pedro Martinez looks back at Posada and gets the out. Our sprint virtual manager question in their prime. Which pitcher would you choose to start the quote-unquote big game? Roger Clemens or Pedro Martinez? To answer today's question, you can log on to foxsports.com, type in the keyword MLB on Fox, or you can get out your PCS Vision phone from Sprint and go ahead and type it in, and I will ask our two experts. And you have faced both of them, Brett Boone. Who would you pick in their prime as the tougher opponent?
It's a tough question.
Nah, just answer. Just one or the other. Let's go. Spit
Toughest,
it out.
I got to go with Pedro.
Runner at second, one out. Matsui pops it up.
I got it.
That's Walker. That's 2 out.
Have you seen my averages against both? I don't think there's a safe choice.
They were both sent to the booth, and they both needed help getting up here. They were kind of sick.
Well, yeah. 220 off Pedro, 240 off Rogers. I got to go with Pedro, I guess.
You, sir?
I hit against neither of them, and I would go with Pedro also.
Timmy, yeah, you haven't hit against either.
No.
The only reason why Brett said Pedro is because he's going to have to face him again. Roger, he is assured.
You're thinking with me.
Yeah,
I'm not assured.
It's weak.
Excellent point. It is. Safety first.
With a runner at second, 2 out, the batter is Kareem Garcia. Got to start in game 2. He's 0 for 4 in the postseason. Takes the ball. Crowd one to the inside corner. The crowd's not going to get it from Alfonso Marquez. Martinez trying to pitch around a leadoff double, and he is 2/3 of the way there. There's a fly ball into right for a hit. Here comes Posada, juggled by Nixon, and the throw is too late. It's 2-1 as Kareem Garcia cuts the Red Sox lead in half.
It's not only a big hit because he drove in Posada, but he picks up Nick Johnson and Hideki Matsui, who stranded Posada on second base. Watch the momentary bobble by Nixon right there. Glove to hand, too late. Usually with 2 outs, you get a better jump from second base. You don't have to worry about the line drive at anybody.
So Posada scores. It's 2-1, and here is Soriano. Way out in front, strike one.
First time Alfonso Soriano has hit ninth since April 15th of 2002.
38 home runs. It's a tough league.
0-1 pitch. Shattered bat and a fly ball into left center field for Manny Ramirez. The Yankees get one. A leadoff double not wasted. Posada got it. Garcia brought him home. We go to the bottom of the second. The Red Sox will have Millar to start it. They lead the Yankees 2-1. On Fox, brought to you by Sprint, proudly offering picture mail and PCS Vision picture phones. By IBM, taking business to the next level with e-business on demand. By MasterCard, there are some things money can't buy. For everything else, there's MasterCard. And by Radio Shack, official sponsor of Major League Baseball. Bottom of the second, Millar first up. Nixon and Miller will follow. And the first pitch is 91 miles an hour down and away for ball one. Millar so far is 2 out of 9 in this ALCS. That is hammered with foul.
That was one of those swings where you're looking for the fastball in, you're trying to yank it, you yank it foul. Posada again setting up outside.
A 1-1 on the outside part, strike two. Millar is more or less the cheerleader, along with David Ortiz, that's helped bring this Boston Red Sox team together. That misses up and in. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Brought a different attitude around here. And his quote was, "We just have a bunch of idiots in here that can't wait to go out and play ball." 2-2 pitch. Strikeout number 3 for Roger Clemens here. of the 4 outs he's picked up.
Looked like a high slider for Clemens, right around the letters. We talked about it the other night. That pitch a little too high.
The best view of today's game is from the Hood Lightship. Hood will donate $300 to children's hospitals throughout New England for every home run, double play, and strikeout made by the Red Sox during the ALCS series at Fenway. And we thank them for joining us here today as Nixon takes a strike.
And Roger's really gotten away the past few years of throwing that slider. It's more the split finger, and that slider, he'll throw it, but on a rare occasion.
0-1 pitch. Now Nixon set up for a strikeout. 2 different times Roger Clemens in his career has struck out 20 hitters.
He did it 10 years apart, 86 and 96. Seattle and Detroit. That was Seattle before you were there.
0-2. Low ball 1.
86 with Seattle? Yeah. I was in high school, Timmy.
So much leg drive. Powerful.
When he gets ahead of left-handers, usually he will resort to the splitter to get them out. Looks like Alfonso Marquez has something in his eye.
So they'll wash that out. And we take a look back at some of Roger Clemens' history. And when you come into a game like this, you have so many different tape elements that you could show. We have a break, so we look at the 20 strikeout performance against Seattle in that 1986 season. Cy Young MVP, and then 96 at Detroit. Took a gathering and a handful of that mound dirt, and it's one of the many souvenirs. He kind of collects unique things from along the way, and has a black carrying case that he carries with him and brings to the park on game day when he's pitching, and there's all kinds of stuff in there.
All kinds of dirt.
There's dirt. There's a Batman outfit. All different stuff. You look at me like I'm crazy, Brett. I'm telling you. He's got
I just want to know what's in there.
stuff. So would everybody else. Maybe someday he'll open it for the world. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Trot Nixon trying to avoid becoming the 4th strikeout victim for Clemens. He does, but he becomes the 2nd out here in the 2nd. And with 2 out, nobody on, Bill Miller will step to the plate.
I'm a little surprised that in either town the crowd can be taken out of the game, because you have so many Red Sox fans in New York the other night when the Red Sox were doing something, and so many Yankee fans here in Boston today.
There's a strike to Miller.
We talked about it in game 2, how quiet the Yankee crowd was, even though the Yankees were on top.
With 2 out, Miller takes a ball. So often you get a situation like this, and the build-up and the anticipation kind of wears people down unless they have some reason to get excited. And they've gotten on Clemens a couple of times. They did in the 1st inning, and Roger allowed 2 runs on 3 hits. Two balls and a strike. Still not married, but here together. Red Sox fan, Yankees fan. This makes you feel good about everything, doesn't it?
You just can't use that caption, "Evil Empire against the Red Sox Nation" there.
That's tied 3-1. Obviously, they brought their monitor with them. Got good seats right there by the Red Sox dugout.
They can afford it. See, honey, that's us.
3-1. That is ripped but right at Johnson. It was comforting to know that Ben and J-Lo weren't watching G League as they sat in the front row here at Fenway. They're watching the game, and so are you. Glad to be here. It's 2-1 Sox after 2. We move into the top of the third inning. Pedro Martinez back to the hill. Enrique Wilson, Derek Jeter, and Jason Giambi, the DH. These two live about 20 minutes from each other in Santo Domingo in the Dominican Republic. And Enrique Wilson was quoted as saying, "People hate me down there because I just wear out Pedro Martinez. They're ticked. They don't like me getting hits off him." Borderline pitch, and Pedro gets the call. It's 1-1. 7 of 8 this season. 10 of 20 in his career prior to that fly out to center back in the first inning. Outside part, strike 2. Enrique Wilson had a total of 31 hits this season, 7 of them against Pedro. 2-2. For 2 is Enrique Wilson. 1 out here in the top of the third. Let's check in with Jeannie Zalasko.
Johnny Damon, does this guy look familiar? The author of your first concussion is at it again. No rattle and roll this time. The shake, shake, shake. It has LeVar Arrington out of sorts. Tomorrow, the Buccaneers try to rebound from last week's heartbreaking loss as they take on the Redskins. Fox NFL Sunday begins with America's #1 pregame show, noon Eastern and 9 Pacific.
Jeannie, thanks. This series will continue tomorrow night. Cubs and the Marlins tomorrow afternoon, and that is hit deep and gone. This game is tied out onto Lansdowne Street, over the monster, over the new seats, and Derek Jeter has tied this game at 2.
We talked about that curveball and how Martinez was getting under it. He was hurt in the first game he pitched in the playoffs, and in the second game, and when he wasn't hurt, he was lucky to get away with that pitch. There are some times where catchers have to can a certain pitch because of the prior recent history, and if I were Jason Varitek, I wouldn't throw that pitch again with Martinez. Just work with a fastball. There it is again. It's flat, as Derek Jeter just proves, tying up the game.
1 ball, 1 strike on Giambi.
Pedro is so innovative on the mound that he can use several different types of fastballs, several different types of changeups. He really doesn't need that curveball.
A changeup misses. It's 2-1.
Oh, this hanging breaking ball just inviting Jeter to hit it hard, and he accommodates.
With 1 out, Giambi too quick. 2-2. Joe Torre talking about the difference with a guy like Pedro. He gets late movement, that late pop, the length of his fingers on that pitching hand. Tim, something you and I talked about a few years ago.
Joe says that it's almost like the ball stays in his hand that much longer, like that pitch. That was a tight breaking ball. Pedro Martinez only 5'8½", but his hands they're so long. You'd think he was 6'6". Very long fingers. And he goes to the breaking ball to tie up Giambi. That is still a dangerous pitch for Martinez, however.
Here's Bernie Williams. For 1, takes a ball. The Yankees have had hits in every inning. Got a run last inning after a leadoff double and a 2-out RBI hit by Garcia. And Jeter is tied it. 1-1.
Another curveball after the home run. Martinez has thrown a bevy of curveballs.
Well, he's changed speeds with it too. I mean, he's throwing that one at 69 miles an hour. Now he's throwing one up, mid-70s, which gives you a little bit different look as a hitter.
Still 1-2. The Red Sox in the bottom of this third will have Veritek, Damon, and Walker. If anybody gets on, Garciaparra. .75-mile-an-hour delivery and another foul tip by Bernie Williams. Well, if we talked a lot about the shadows and the sunlight and all that, it appears that situation and that problem for these hitters is over. Two and two. Pedro Martinez, the starter and winner on Monday night in that Game 5 out in Oakland. Getting the ball here in Game 3. And striking out the side here in the third, but not before damage is done. Derek Jeter. He knows what to do in October baseball. Hits a hanger on the Lansdowne Street, and it's 2-2 in Boston. Clemens back to work. It's a 2-2 game now. Yankees 4 hits to the Red Sox 3. Home run by Jeter tied it. Here's Veritek. Jason has 3 home runs in this postseason. 6 out of 18. 2 out of 4 in Game 2. 1 ball, 1 strike. Damon will follow, and then Todd Walker. You watched our telecast on Thursday night, and we talked about Andy Pettitte, another Texan, just peering over that glove and his eyes right under the bill of the cap. He's picked that up from Roger Clemens, as well as his conditioning program. Clemens has really rubbed off on Pettitte the right way. As Veritek steps out for a moment.
I don't know this for a fact, but I would imagine Roger Clemens would be advising Andy Pettitte on his contract negotiations, just from a friendly standpoint. Andy, on the last year of his contract, where does he sign?
Price is going up this postseason.
I was saying, we were both saying the other day that neither of us could understand how the Yankees could not sign Andy Pettitte with Clemens retiring.
Great numbers and 2 big Game 2 victories so far in the postseason for the Yankees. 3-2 pitch is flying into left center field. Bernie Williams. 1 out. Chris Myers is joining us here at Fenway Park. Chris.
Joe, you and Tim were talking about Johnny Damon before, how Grady Little said he probably wouldn't run much given the comeback from his concussion. He was signing autographs just before the game, and he told me that he wouldn't hesitate. He said all the doctors said was take a couple of Tylenol before the game, a couple of Tylenol during the game, and monitor the situation. He said he's more worried about Roger Clemens giving him a headache than anything left over from the concussion. Joe?
Chris, thanks. A grade 2 concussion that was suffered on Monday night. He was able to take batting practice on Thursday, and here he is back in the lineup. He has singled and scored already today. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Johnny and his wife, parents of twins, Jackson and Madeline out here at the workout yesterday.
The opposite way. Jeter can't handle it. And Damon is on with 1 out.
Damon has hit 2 balls to the left side of the infield. 1 to Enrique Wilson. He was given a hit on that. This ball, Derek Jeter tries to backhand, hits him in the heel of the glove, and bounces away. And I would imagine it's an error.
Well, guess what?
Not another hit.
He's 2 for 2.
Come on. Give me a break. This is the big leagues. We're in the playoffs. What is this, Legion ball? Your parents keeping score? I mean, what's going on?
What Timmy's saying is, when he played, there were always errors. That's why they didn't hit as high.
I guarantee you, if you drop those 2 balls off Johnny Damon, you'd expect to get an error with that Gold Glove of yours.
Walker,
yeah, every time I expect it to be an error. Hit, then I feel bad for my pitcher if they give it a hit. It's an earned run if he scores. I think both of these teams right now are doing a real good job. When you got guys like Clemens and Pedro on the mound, one of your first defenses is let's get this guy to throw a lot of pitches. And they're working the counts, getting deep into counts. And when that pitch count gets up, get into the bullpens. And I think both of them are doing that very well.
It's really what Joe Torre talked about. And along the lines of what you said, Tim, at the beginning, you don't beat Pedro Martinez. You try to stay with him, get his pitch count up, and then try to go after their bullpen. 0-1 pitch. These 2 teams, in fact, are 3 and 4 in pitches seen per at bat in the big leagues this season. The Red Sox were 3, the Yankees were 4. So they are used to. It's not like a change of approach because of these 2 starters. They're used to looking over a lot of pitches. Crowd's trying to get on Clemens.
You got to wear him down. You got to wear him down. That's the best way to get to him. And when you got guys like this, the horses, that's one way you do it. That's how you're successful.
Coming up next, Game 4 of that National League Championship Series, with the Cubs up 2 games to 1. What a game last night. And it's Clement and Dontrell Willis tonight. Walker doubled off the Green Monster, at least off the scoreboard portion of it. His first time up and scored a run. Manny Ramirez driving home 2 with a base hit in the first. Into center field for Bernie Williams. 2 out. And Garciaparra coming up. You would think that the Red Sox would be hard-pressed to advance past the Yankees if Nomar Garciaparra isn't going to hit. Get on in front of Manny Ramirez, drive in runs. So far, he's 2 out of 10, and again, does not have an RBI this postseason.
Well, I think the reason Boston's here is because this season all the weight wasn't on Nomar's shoulders and Manny's shoulders. There's a lot of guys in that lineup that picked up the slack when these guys weren't swinging well. So it takes a lot of pressure off you when you're in the middle of the lineup when you got guys that can handle it.
However, this was a Red Sox team that, with those guys not hitting in the division series, hit only .211. They're here because of their offensive production. The top average in the American League, and this lineup really hasn't clicked except for game 1 of this ALCS. 2-0 pitch, 1 on, 2 out. That's ripped, but foul.
Well, that's nice though, because you know these guys are going to get it going eventually, and to be where they are and not swinging the bats well is a good place to be. I think you look at their lineup, and we were talking about Soriano hitting 9th with 38 home runs, and you look at this lineup, you got the batting champ hitting 8, so you can't be going too wrong when the batting champ's that far down in the lineup.
Garciaparra struck out looking his first time up, looking for a pitch to rip against Clemens. Left side for Jeter, gets a nice hop. And the inning is over. 4 out, 6-4. We go to number 4. With the Yankees and Red Sox tied here at Fenway 2-2. Chip Series on Fox, brought to you by Chevy Silverado. It's the right truck. By Taco Bell, where you can spice up the night. And by State Farm, providing insurance and financial services like a good neighbor. State Farm is there. The scoreboard on the green monster. And right in front of it, Manny Ramirez watching a breaking ball roll up to the plate, and Jorge Posada takes it for ball 1. Posada, Johnson, and Matsui. Something other than the fastball, and we've seen a lot of that from Pedro Martinez early.
Like a breaking ball. Brett, you made a comment between innings saying that Martinez has stayed away from his fastball tonight. He's pitching like something's bothering him. Something.
2-0.
Yeah, I've never seen Pedro throw this many off-speed pitches, and you know, it could be several things. I mean, maybe that's his plan going in, and later in the game he's going to go to the fastball.
Here's a 2-1 to Posada, who's doubled and scored. That's 4 pitches. Not 1 fastball here at the start of the 4th inning. It's 2-2.
And also, though, he's played, you know, he's pitched against the Yankees. I haven't seen him pitch against the Yankees. Maybe he's been successful doing that.
Not this many breaking balls. There's another one. That was a good one there, but Posada laid off of it.
So now it's 3-2. Nick Johnson will follow, and then that's all right. Matsui is due up 3rd in the inning. That's 6 pitches in the at-bat and not 1 fastball to Jorge Posada.
5 breaking balls and a straight changeup. That is not Pedro Martinez. Atypical of Pedro.
Nick Johnson bounced back to Martinez after the double by Posada back in the 2nd. And with 2 out, it was Kareem Garcia who salvaged the inning with the 2-out RBI hit to right. One ball, no strikes. 82 miles per hour on that pitch from Martinez. Ball, 1 strike, and still no fastballs this inning. The walk to Posada was the first walk of the afternoon for either pitcher. Now 1-2.
Joe, you and I had a conversation last summer, and I asked you if Pedro Martinez were to retire, this was the middle of last summer, would he be in the Hall of Fame? Just a rhetorical question. But when you think about what he has done, it is staggering when you realize that he has put up Koufaxian numbers.
Opposite field, pretty well hit. Ramirez, it's over his head. Posada will dig for 3rd. The throw into 2nd. It's a long single for Nick Johnson. 1st and 3rd, nobody out.
Good hitting by Johnson. That was a fastball. The first fastball to the 2 hitters.
Number 55.
Laced to left field. Johnson does that very well and short hops the monster. Played well by Manny Ramirez. That's in super slow-mo. An idea of how tough that is on the elbow when he releases that ball. You see that with a lot of pitchers. Don't realize the violence that they come through that pitching zone with.
Matsui with a great RBI chance. First and third, nobody out. And that's hammered into right field. Back is Nixon. It's over his head. It takes a hop. It's a ground rule double. And the Yankees have taken the lead. It's 3-2. Nick Johnson will have to hold at third. Matsui into second. A walk, a single, a double, and the Yankees are figuring out Pedro Martinez here in this fourth inning.
Veritek sitting outside. Both pitchers are missing badly in the strike zone. The difference is Roger Clemens throws much harder than Pedro and can get away with more. This ball laced to right field, and the Yankees, it's a tough break for the Yankees because the ball bounces into the stands. Most ballparks, that ball rattles around, and Matsui could have had a triple, and Johnson scores easily.
You look at Pedro Martinez, his career with the Red Sox against the Yankees, a very good ERA, but only one game over the 500 mark, 9-8. The Red Sox are 10-14 in the 24 starts he's made against New York. The Yankees on top now, 3-2, and they have second and third, nobody out. And this is over the head. Actually, must have hit the bat of Karim Garcia, and a foul ball, and Garcia immediately pops up and screams at Martinez.
Yeah, that was perilously close to his head. Martinez hitting Soriano and Derek Jeter. The last time the Yankees and Red Sox played in a 2-1 game, won by the Yankees back in August. Now Joe Torre,
Well, they warned both benches.
I guess it must have nicked the helmet. I thought it hit his bat too.
I thought it hit him in the back.
Really?
It was behind his head.
Well, either way, with Garcia standing there, the only thing you could think is that it hit his bat. Now Garcia gets rid of the bat and goes down to first. So it did hit Garcia right off the back.
You're right, Brett. It was right off the shoulder.
And that loads the bases with nobody out. And Dave Wallace is going to go out and talk to Pedro Martinez. And Martinez just isn't right.
No. Talked about it earlier, looping the curveball up there, getting under the curve. As far as that particular pitch is concerned, again, you have to consider with the designated hitter, pitchers don't have to pitch. Prior to designated hitter rules, or don't have to hit, pitchers had to hit, and the game and the players policed themselves. If pitchers had to hit, as you see Don Zimmer yelling at Martinez. If pitchers had to hit, there wouldn't be as much of that. That's that safety zone with the designated hitter. You don't have to worry about it.
Now Soriano with the bases loaded takes a fastball for a strike. Lead runner is Johnson. Matsui with the RBI double. Forced down to second when Garcia was hit by the pitch. Double play ball. They got them both. The run scores. It's 4-2. 6-4-3, and now Garcia gets up in the face of Todd Walker. Joe West had to come down and separate the two. And Garcia is furious.
Yeah, because of the designated hitter, you go after the wrong guy. I mean, Todd Walker had nothing to do with you being hit. And Martinez now pointing. That's the wrong thing to do. That's inciting right there. And now the umpires are going to have to take over.
And it's Clemens now who's in the middle of it for New York. Clemens has to be pushed back toward the dugout. That's him, 22. Tim McClellan, who is the crew chief, wanted to make sure that this didn't get ugly, and he came charging over toward Clemens to make sure that he stayed near the dugout, because that could have become a mess. The Red Sox dugout is empty. The Yankees was about half empty, and Joe Torre is pleading his case, saying, look, my guy got hit in the back. You came out, you warned both sides, and now Clemens is going to go back out there and pitch, and theoretically could have the inside part off the plate taken away from him, because anything that's deemed being thrown at a hitter, he could be ejected, and that's what Joe Torre's upset about.
You've stripped Clemens of the ability to pitch hitters inside, and that is simply not right, because if Pedro Martinez can do it, Clemens can do it, or should be able to.
Jorge Posada yelling out either at Pedro Martinez or Veritek. And the umpires at least got a hold of that last part of it. The Yankees are hot because both sides have been warned. Martinez got his shot in, and the Yankees feel like they're not going to be able to get theirs in.
Oh, now look at that. Whoever he's pointing to, he's not saying to use your head. He's saying, I'll hit you in the head.
I'll hit you in the head.
I mean, come on. If that's not insightful, I don't know what is.
Now it's Enrique Wilson with a runner at third, Matsui, and 2 out. 2 runs are home in the inning, and it's ball 1 down and in. Only when Martinez got upset in this inning has he gone to the fastball. Enrique Wilson, a ball and a strike.
Here's a takeout slide of Kareem Garcia going over the bag, and Walker had every right to question that. But Garcia taking it out on Walker. And again, that's what the DH does. You can't take it out on the pitcher, so do it with somebody else.
Wilson pops it up. And Pedro Martinez is through a rough 4th inning. He hits a batter, gives up 2 runs. A double in there for Matsui. And the Yankees behind Clemens now lead by 2. As if this game needed any more emotion. The entire level of intensity has been raised another notch as Clemens goes back to work. And I would imagine Roger Clemens, it surprised Joe Torre that Clemens has been able to keep himself under control here at the start of these games down the stretch, winding up his career. I would imagine he's going to have to work extra hard with as hot as he is right now to not try and overthrow everything and throw his game plan out the window, trying to blow the ball by every hitter that steps into the box.
You could almost see him taking those deep breaths during his warm-up pitches, trying to get himself under control.
Now Ramirez.
That ball's not even close.
You talk about looking for a reason.
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness. Don Zimmer and Pedro Martinez. Oh,
that's awful.
Don Zimmer, a 72-year-old man, went into Pedro Martinez's face, and Pedro Martinez threw him down. With word of what's happened with Zimmer, the players almost separate from each other and all walk over and check on his well-being. And it was Pedro Martinez who threw him down. And it was Pedro Martinez that Zimmer tried to find when Ramirez started to stomp after Roger Clemens. Zimmer, a former manager of the Red Sox, has been through a knee replacement, and it is great to see him up and at least able to walk back toward the Yankee dugout.
Actually, both knees have been replaced.
Oh. And it's Clemens with his arm around him.
The point is, the pitch to Manny Ramirez wasn't even close the way I saw it. The pitch to Garcia was behind him. We're trying to be as fair as we can up here, but it's very difficult to be fair in this situation. Martinez has incited so much so far. That's terrible. Awful. That is absolutely awful. You have got to be kidding me. You mean to tell me you don't know that Don Zimmer is coming? I mean, Don Zimmer?
Well, he came and swung at Pedro Martinez, it looked like. I'd like to see that replay again, just to see the beginning of it. I mean, I can't put all the blame on Pedro Martinez on that when Don Zimmer, and I feel for Don Zimmer, but he came out and had the left hand up.
I mean, there's just so many things going on right now. You got Roger on the mound. He knows it's the postseason. He knows how important this game is and that he stays in the game. With the warning.
Here is the inside pitch in question. But you can't tell me that that pitch is anywhere close to the one Garcia.
Well, Manny Ramirez is still yelling at Clemens.
Martinez threw the ball behind Garcia. And if the umpires are going to be true to their word, Clemens is gone. If that pitch was as close to Ramirez,
but it's not close. It's not close.
Well, that's.
Yeah, I think it's in the umpire's discretion, and I would imagine they would say that wasn't close enough to warrant anything.
I didn't think it was.
And as a hitter, if I'm hitting what happened the previous inning, I'm expecting it. And if I get hit by a pitch, I'm going to first base. I don't think that pitch was at his head. I think that pitch, it was on the plate high.
It was up and in.
It was up and in, but it wasn't up and in.
Let's go down to Chris Myers for a quick word. Chris?
Joe, we're down on the field here. Umpiring supervisor Steve Palermo is discussing with the major league officials who should be gone from this game and who will remain, and they are assessing that as we speak. Moments before, the warning was given to both benches, and when Roger Clemens came out to say, hey, you're taking away the inside part of the plate, they clearly said, no, we're not, but we're not going to tolerate any retaliation or somebody will be tossed from this game. So we'll give you an update as soon as we have one.
And in my opinion, and I think we all agree with this, we led toward this earlier before this incident got really ugly, that Manny Ramirez, it looked like he was looking for a reason to go out there and start all that up again. That pitch was up. There's no doubt about that. But he got this entire thing cranked up, and then the incident that followed with Don Zimmer going after Pedro Martinez, the two were screaming at each other in the last half inning. And here's another look at that pitch that's no doubt up.
I think you got to go as far back as the takeout slide at second base. I mean, it started with the hit by pitch, but then Garcia comes across the base. I can put myself in his shoes.
Clemens' reaction after the pitch to Manny Ramirez. And now the interesting part is going to be who's going to be ejected from this game. I mean, you could have an entire list. And the umpires have gotten together, and they will meet with Joe Torre and Grady Little and try to figure out who stays and who goes. Here's Roger Clemens checking on Don Zimmer after that mix-up he had with Pedro Martinez. This is before the inning started. Now remember, Roger Clemens and the Yankees were upset because both benches were warned after Karim Garcia was grazed, but grazed on the back and up high by Pedro Martinez. Talking to Tim McClellan about the inside pitch, you can bet, and about the warning situation, where now if in the umpire's discretion, and that's really an important phrase, Brett. I mean, it is not to be taken that any pitch that's inside from here on means that the pitcher is gone. It still rests with the umpire, and I would imagine that wouldn't qualify at all as a pitch that would eject Roger Clemens from this game.
My opinion, it's not even close enough to eject him.
Let's go back to Karim Garcia getting grazed the back of the left shoulder, and it's not so much getting hit, but where that pitch is, right, ducking to get his head out of the way
with a base open.
And then this part, saying I hit you right here, and I think that's the point where Don Zimmer, we showed Zimmer in the dugout screaming back out to the field in the direction of Pedro Martinez. And then when Manny Ramirez and that started, the benches started to clear, and who did Don Zimmer go find? Pedro Martinez. We go back. We talked about this in game 2 when Soriano was hit, Jeter was hit, and the reason we talked about this in game 2, as you see what happened after that daylight game in July. In game 2, there were a couple of pitches that were close. Contreras up and in to David Ortiz, and then Soriano was drilled by Bronson Arroyo, and you thought there may be some carryover with a couple of guys with long histories of brushing back and hitting batters. Roger Clemens is a guy who is known for throwing inside, hitting batters. Just so you know, Clemens has hit 141 batters during the regular season, 6 in the postseason. Pedro Martinez has hit 99. But in this case, to me, showing Piazza doesn't fit, because Roger Clemens, I don't think, is guilty of anything in this inning.
No, I don't either.
And now Manny Ramirez is back in the box. Pitch is way outside, and Ramirez strikes out for the first out here in the 4th.
Now, you rarely see Manny Ramirez swinging at a pitch like that.
It was a 13-minute delay, and Clemens got Ramirez with one pitch. Here's David Ortiz. Ortiz hits it into right, didn't get it all. And Garcia puts it away, 2 out. If with all that's happened and all that's on the line in this ALCS and all that's in the immediate future for Roger Clemens, that being how many more starts is he going to have in his big league career, if this is his final season, and he has said countless times it is, it's good to see Zimmer laughing and smiling. It would be a tremendous accomplishment for Roger Clemens to harness all that, get himself under control, as that one is even closer to Millar. If Clemens could get himself under control and pitch a good ball game here this evening, what a way to go out in his final start at Fenway Park. That one riding even closer to the hitter, and Millar fouls it. It'll end up out of play, and the count's 1-1.
Well, you don't know how the game's going to end up, but you'd have to say over the next couple of innings, advantage Clemens. If you're a right-handed hitter with the Red Sox, and you believe Manny Ramirez when he went out there And then the first pitch to Millar, even though it wasn't that close.
A high hop to Enrique Wilson.
You take swings like that.
The Red Sox end up going in order. What a fourth inning here in Game 3. Clemens has a perfect fourth. Really was anything but perfect, but they did go 1, 2, 3. We go to the 5th. 4-2 New York. He got ejected after all that. And the count's 0-2 on Jeter leading off. Jeter, then Giambi, then Williams. Boston got the first 2 runs of this game. The Yankees got a run in the second, 1 in the third, and 2 in the fourth as they bat here in the 5th. Jeter's homered today, and it's still 1-2.
Thinking about this series, if this series goes 7 games or 6 games and Pedro Martinez has to pitch, I wonder if they might not play it at a neutral site.
1-2. Jeter pops it into right. Pretty well hit. Nixon near that wall. A leap, and he's got it. What a catch by Trot Nixon. 1 out.
I think he just robbed Derek Jeter of a home run. If not over the wall, it probably would have hit the top of the wall. Another look. What a play by Trot Nixon. Keep in mind that ball was tailing. I think that's a home run. Hit by a right-hander, Derek Jeter, tailing.
Giambi pops it into left, and Manny Ramirez calls in out number 2. Let's check in again with Chris Myers.
All right, Joe, you had mentioned that there have not been any players tossed as of this moment. John McHale, executive vice president of administration, saying that once there is a warning given, it's still the umpire's discretion. He doesn't automatically have to toss somebody once an instance takes place or an incident. And if it continues, they still don't have to toss anybody. They're trying to use, in their words, good judgment, be cautious, control the situation, but not cost the game its best players. And in case people are wondering, George Steinbrenner, who I'm sure would have a lot to say about this, is back in Tampa watching this one on television.
With 2 out, Chris, thanks. 2 out, nobody on. Here's Bernie Williams. Ball 1 down and in. Anybody who knows Don Zimmer knows that even at the age of 72, he's not over there just sitting there whispering things to Joe Torre. He is into these games, and he gets fired up. We saw an example of it, probably a poor example of it, but it's no different than if he was running around with Johnny Padres back in 1957. He was a tough player. He got upset at Pedro Martinez, and I would imagine with that gesture that we saw, with him pointing to his head during the top of the 4th inning, and he went after Pedro Martinez. And in Pedro's defense, he saw Zimmer coming at him, reacted to Zimmer coming at him, and pushed him down.
I think that's fair. I didn't originally see Zimmer take a shot at him with the left arm.
3-0 to Williams. 3-1. Back in that 4th inning. That was after Garcia was hit by the pitch, and it's Zimmer the one yelling out at Pedro Martinez. 3-1 pitch. 2 hops to Walker. Pedro Martinez calms down and has a 1-2-3 fifth. Halfway through Game 3. Series is tied at a game apiece. The Yankees lead this one 4-2. Setting all of the more or less disturbing extracurricular activity off to the side for a moment. Here are the Red Sox dealing with a composed and effective Roger Clemens in a situation where they start their best in Pedro Martinez in an ALCS against the Yankees, tied at a game apiece, with the prospects of having John Burkett pitch against David Wells in Game 4 tomorrow. That misses low. It's 2-0. So forgetting all the Pedro stuff and Manny Ramirez and Roger Clemens and Don Zimmer, back to the business of baseball as the Red Sox are in a spot where they need to win this game. Bottom of the 5th inning. 4-2 Yankees. Nixon went around. It's 2-1.
The surprising thing to me about the whole scenario was Pedro Martinez throwing at Garcia with nobody out and runners on at 2nd and 3rd. If he misses Garcia, it's a wild pitch. 1 run scores and another runner goes to 3rd. It's a lot different than throwing at him if nobody's on base, or if there are 2 outs and a man on 1st, something like that. But with runners on at 2nd and 3rd, nobody out, Red Sox still down by 1 at the time, and still throwing that pitch to Garcia is perhaps the most surprising thing to me in that whole scenario.
Well, I think with everything that's gone on, and you can't really know what these guys are going through emotionally with how big this game is, but you still have got to put it aside and win in a very important game.
Crowd gets on Clemens. 2-2 pitch. Going to be a tough play for Soriano. Underhands for the out. 1 away. I guess this would be a good time to look at our WebMD health report for the Red Sox. Ramiro Mendoza has not been active, out with a bum knee, and Byung-Hun Kim out with a sore shoulder. On the other side, the good word for the Yankees and anybody concerned is that Pedro is fine after getting involved with Zimmer, and so is Don Zimmer after getting thrown to the ground by the Red Sox starter. First pitch is strike to Bill Miller. Off the hands of Miller. It's 0-2. Miller, the batting champ from the American League this season, hit .326, is 4 out of 29 in this postseason. Two from Clemens. Checked his swing. He didn't go. Ball 1. Clemens has struck out 4, walked none, and has allowed only 1 hit since the first. Two and 2. By Miller's bat, 2 out. Strikeout number 5 for Clemens. The best view of today's game is from Hood Lightship. Hood supports children's hospitals throughout New England through a partnership with the Boston Red Sox. Good view of that field, which has been busy here at Fenway Park tonight. Game 3. Game 4 tomorrow night. Here's Varitek with 2 out. Ball 1.
Let's say we go to an extreme and say, who are we to say that Pedro Martinez threw the ball intentionally to try to hit Garcia? Could that have just been a ball that got away? I don't think so. He didn't show that type of wildness. He walked one. He walked Jorge Posada. But to throw a ball that close behind the hitter, you almost have to be doing it intentionally.
2-1 now on Varitek.
Here's the pitch to Garcia again. Pedro Martinez has nowhere near that type of wildness in his arsenal, unless he intentionally is trying to hit somebody or throw it behind him. And as you can tell there, that was in a dangerous situation and position.
2 balls, 2 strikes on Varitek.
I can't disagree with you, Timmy. I got to go with you. I know we disagree a lot.
As disturbing as that, though, was what he then motioned to the Yankee dugout.
Right. Right.
You used the word incite. When you point to the opposition's dugout and point to the temple of your head and say what he said toward the Yankees dugout, what do you expect to happen? Two balls, two strikes, 2 out, nobody on.
Those are uneasy laughs in that dugout.
Roger Clemens is rolling. He has struck out 6. He is through 5. He hasn't allowed any runs since the first. Into the 6th inning. Yankees lead game 3, 4-2. Into the 6th inning, it's 4-2 Yankees. And for New York, it'll be Posada, Nick Johnson, and Hideki Matsui. There is an uneasy feel in this ballpark right now.
There absolutely is.
Not just on the field, but with these fans packed into Fenway Park. It was tense at the start, and it's got a little different feel to it. Now that grazes Posada. Jorge Posada able to get out of the way, but it came awfully close up and in. These two yelling at each other during that 4th inning. On the inside corner, ball and a strike. Two balls and a strike.
After all is said and done, and certainly that's not the case, but as far as throwing inside to major league hitters, you have to throw inside. You have to intimidate. Where you draw the line is when a pitcher throws a ball behind the batter. That's where the hitters draw the line. That's where the pitchers draw the line.
It's 2-2 on Posada. Full count. Posada strikes out. And now they're still yelling at each other. And Posada was doing anything but taking a direct route back into the dugout. This was back in that 4th inning. And Posada had to be restrained by the umpires as he made movements out toward Pedro Martinez. And now after that strikeout, they're screaming at each other. Here's Nick Johnson. 4 strikeouts now for Martinez. And a strike on the inside corner. No balls, 2 strikes. Tonight's Sprint Virtual Manager question: in their prime, which pitcher would you choose to start the big game, Roger Clemens or Pedro Martinez? Pedro, 59%. Tonight, Clemens has been better. The 0-2. With 1 out, nobody on, a 2-2 pitch to Nick Johnson. That's foul. You almost get the feeling here at Fenway Park that people are waiting for something else to happen.
Yeah, there's something. Sometimes it's hard to read crowds and exactly what they're thinking about collectively. But it's something along those lines.
2-2 pitch. They're happy to see Pedro. Terrell his stuff and strike out his 5th. 2 out here in the 6th.
He blows Nick Johnson away. I think the crowd collectively is similar to the way the crowd was when Roger Clemens threw the bat, the broken bat of Mike Piazza toward him. It was the same year. You saw the knockdown pitch on July 8th of 2000. Second game of the World Series. Roger Clemens throwing a bat about 5 feet, 3 to 5 feet in front of Piazza. And it was a stunned Yankee Stadium crowd then. And I think we're experiencing a quasi-stunned Boston crowd now.
The 0-1 pitch, Matsui. Takes ball 1. You wonder if Clemens, if he gets the opportunity later in this game, if something is to happen later on. 1-1 pitch. Another hard hit ball. Matsui has handled Martinez. This time he makes an out.
My answer to that would be only in a blowout.
Right now it's anything but. We move to the bottom of the 6th. Still 4-2 New York. Damon.